Hawke is one of the top makers of rifle scopes in the United Kingdom, but they're largely unknown to many US shooters, unless you happen to shoot hunting or competition airguns, because Hawke is one of the largest airgun scope makers in the world. In this episode, we're going to take a look at their best-selling scope, the Sidewinder. We're going to see what you get in the box and see why Hawke optics should be better known. So here is the Hawke Sidewinder 30 at first focal plane, and it is a very clean white box with their logo on it. And let's see what we got inside. Very European. Okay, we have a microfiber cleaning cloth. We have a very thick but svelte manual. We have a sunshade. A throw lever, some extra screws, and an Allen wrench. And we have a parallax wheel. That's nice. Look at the scope itself here. Now this is interesting. A lot of folks have moved over to silicone bra covers, and this one has sort of a modern take on those plastic lens covers with a rubber band, elastic band connecting the two, but they are see-through, very old school. And look at that, pretty light for a first focal plane. For a first focal plane scope that is from 6 to 24, usually they have a lot of glass elements and they're a little heavier than this, so this is actually pretty light. I love this little handy dial here that shows you how many rotations you've gone. This is kind of neat. So look at this. This is really interesting. This has this little dial gauge window here to tell you how many rotations you've gone through. So that's interesting. It's very unique. I've never seen this. When I saw this at SHOT Show, I definitely had to try this out. So as you turn it, and it is locking, you can see it goes down and it goes up. Nice. And as you can hear, you could hear that. Let's hear that again. This is very audible. Kind of not as loud as some other turrets, but still quite audible and tactile positive. And there's no slop in terms of turning it, but there's a little bit of wobble at the top, which is a little disconcerting. I've never had a scope that wobbled at the top like that, and let's see if I can cinch that down. Maybe it's just the top is loose. Nope, that's on tight, and you'd use a coin to pop off the screw to reset the turret to 0, but yeah, there's a little bit of wobble even when it's locked down. So I'm wondering why that is. If you happen to know if this is the same, if you have a Hawke and yours does the same thing, please let me know in the comments, and I'll see if I can contact Hawke and find out why there's a little bit of play here. So I contacted Hawke and sent the scope back. Their technicians assured me that this was actually normal for this particular model due to the unique design of that witness window, and it doesn't wobble when it's locked down. Alright, and the windage, a little quieter than the elevation turret, and again has this really almost coarse click. It's not bad. It's definitely, I can tell when I've clicked, but it's not as sharp and pointed in terms of the tactile sensation as a Leupold or a Vortex or an Athlon. But I'm trying to see if I can describe that. Is there a little bit of, yeah, there's a little bit of play here too. Not as much as the elevation, but again, no slop in terms of turning it, which is more important. And yeah, that's locked down too. So there's that. And we have our parallax focus, which is very smooth, goes from 10 yards to infinity, having a scope that goes down to 10 yards is definitely critical for an airgun scope. And all of Hawke's scopes are airgun rated, which says a lot about their durability, the turret wobble notwithstanding. And let's see, the power dial. Magnification is very smooth. Nice knurling here, so definitely good for cold weather or if you're wearing gloves. And there is a little screw here you can pop off and put in a throw lever should you choose to. But it goes from 24 to 6 very easily. And our ocular focus, nice. This is super smooth and feels good. And it has a locking ring, which is a nice touch because a lot of scopes nowadays don't have this locking ring. So that way you can cinch this down and it'll keep your ocular focus from shifting accidentally. So that's nice. Older hunting scopes always had these, but for some reason they stopped putting them on a lot of newer scopes. Alright, so that's what it looks like externally. Let's take it out to the field and to the range and see what we can see through the scope itself. Okay, we're looking at the peak of Mount Davidson, about 1,300 yards away, and we're looking at it through the scope at 6 power. And I've got a slightly different rig today. I had to use this skeletonized rig here because of my normal rig just wouldn't fit this tube properly. But the upside is you're able to compare the image inside of the scope with the image of the ambient light conditions outside of the scope in the real world. So you can see just how much light throughput you're getting in here and how much color fidelity you are getting. So you can see that it is a little bit milkier and you're losing a little bit of the contrast, but this is still very good for this tier of optic here. So I also note the reticle is super fine, almost too fine. I mean, if you're a hunter, you may not like a reticle this fine because it's hard to make out from the background. For precision target shooting on paper, this is ideal. But let's zoom in to its maximum power setting of 24, and you can see there is no shift in point of aim. As we get to our maximum magnification here, that white object just to the left of the center crosshairs is a 36-inch steel trail marker sign, which is a good proxy at this distance for a steel target. So you can use that if you are shooting steel at an extreme long range. Also note here that as we zoomed in, is because it is a first focal plane reticle, the reticle did enlarge, which is great. This is a good thickness for multiple uses at maximum magnification. Also take note, the reticle itself is unique in it that it does not have any reference numbers at all, and that is a good or bad thing. It could be a sort of make it or break it in terms of your choice for this particular scope. The advantage of having no reference numbers is that the image is far less cluttered than your typical scope which has reference numbers. The instruction manual does have a guide to tell you the distances between those subtensions in the reticle, but unless you have a cheat sheet and remember them, that could be a problem. The next step is to take this out to the range and take a look at some reference targets at 100 yards. And while we're here, I want to ask you to please hit the like and subscribe buttons. It's free, it's simple, it helps me grow this channel, but it also helps you because you're taking control of the AI. Big tech suppresses a lot of firearms videos, so by hitting like and subscribe, you're telling the algorithm you want to see more videos like mine as opposed to K-pop reaction videos. Unless you want to see more of those, no judgments. Unless you want to watch that BTS video, let's take a look at the Hawke's illuminated reticle. Let's take a look at the illumination at its highest magnification of 24. 1, off, 2, off, 3, off, 4, off, 5, off, 6. So, at its maximum magnification, usable definitely. Alright, let's take a look again at its lowest power setting. And let's just take a look at that. Did we get any shift in point of aim? No, we did not. Let's check out our range of adjustments and elevation and windage. All the way down. Okay, and all the way up. Okay. Let's look at that windage. Go the other way. All right, that's the extent of it. All right, I'm going to do a box test. Full rotation with our elevation, full rotation with our windage, going back to 0 with our elevation, oops, wrong way, back to 0 with our windage. Yes, that passed the box test. All right, we're going to do Cyclops Joe's famous nipple twister test, where I'm just going to turn these suckers like crazy and hope it goes back to the original starting position. All right, so 0. 0, yes, pass the box test. Pass the nipple twister test. Next, let's take a look at its optical clarity and resolution. All right, I'm going to zoom in, give it a 200% zoom, see what we can see. We're looking at a still image from the video so that we aren't distracted by heat shimmer or the wind distorting the image. I can see some chromatic aberration along the white edges of the paper target and the target frame. Those are the purple fringes, but the overall image is consistently sharp from center to edge. Now for sharpness, let's take a look at the paper target just to the left of the center reticle. We can clearly make out 22 holes on the 2-inch reactive paste-up bullseye. And we can also make out 2 additional holes on paper, one below that bullseye and one near the bottom edge of the paper. Next, let's take a look at the white sheet to the right of the reticle. That's the U.S. Air Force's optical resolution chart. I can make out both horizontal and vertical bars down to element 6 in group -1 on this still image. And in fact, with my naked eye, I could actually make it down to element 1 in group 0, which is remarkably sharp. The color and contrast isn't quite as good, but that's as sharp as my Leupold Mark III. So that's the Hawke Sidewinder. Just based on the sharpness of the glass alone, I can totally understand why this is one of their best-selling scopes. And that's despite having a street price over $700. But is it worth it? Well, you tell me. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you think of what you saw in this video, or if you own a Hawke Sidewinder. Do you think it's a good value compared to a Vortex or a Leupold or Boris in the same price tier? And if you're interested in picking one up, I've got product links and a full written review on my blog, moondogindustries.com, so check that out. And just as a reminder, if you enjoyed this video, please hit like and subscribe so you'll see more videos like this, more of my reviews when I post them. Thanks again for watching. Moondog, out. Hey, if you enjoyed this video, please share it on forums, Facebook, Reddit, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, MeWe, whatever social media you're on. And if you want to see all of my videos, check out moondogindustries.com.